This year has probably been my most intense planning year in a really long time. I generally don't plan or jump, but I've jumped and re-jumped and switched back this year, and it's really played a big role on how cohesive my planning system for this year has been. So today we're going to be taking a look back over the last 6 months, talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what changes I'll be making for the next 6 months. I think the logical place to start is actually with these two. These are my Moxy Life companion notebooks. I have one that is a yearly notebook, and then each quarter I have a notebook. And what I'll say about my goal setting for the past 6 months is it's been really hit or miss. And I think a lot of that has to do more with me than the planning system and just the uncertainty of the world and not knowing if my goals aligned with the current world environment and my mental health. Now, that being said, I finally have sat down and taken stock, and we're going to start the next half of the year with kind of a fresh perspective and try and go from there. I am going to continue in my Moxy Life system. I think it works amazing as long as I have the mental space to put the energy into it. In the last 6 months, I just didn't have the mental space. I was fighting with the school system over accommodations for my daughter. I was uncertain financially with everything that was going on and just trying to wrap my head around the world economy situation, as well as trying to figure out if my goals still aligned with where I needed to go. So that being said, we're going to have a fresh start. I'm planning on giving you a video on all of that in the coming weeks. So look for that coming, but the plan is to continue with my Moxy Life system. I'm hoping to have weekly videos to keep me accountable, but they may be bi-weekly. I'm not really sure. Next, let's talk about my other planner stack here, right? So this has kind of been a chaotic mess, to be honest, because what happened is I started the year in these two planners. I had my content planner and I had my Hobonichi cousin. And I love my Hobonichi cousin. I love the setup. Are there things I wish I could change about it? Of course there are. But generally speaking, this has worked for me for the past couple of years. And so I wasn't expecting any hiccups. And when the paper started giving me issues that I wasn't expecting, because there wasn't supposed to be a change between last year and this year's paper, I was completely taken by surprise. And I thought, well, maybe it's just an issue with my Hobonichi cousin paper. And so what I ended up doing is I had bought this planner, which is a sterling ink, and it's also vertical. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to use this one instead. I ended up setting both of these up as, my catch-all planner. So the beginnings of both of them have the same type of feel. So I'd gone through the process twice of setting these up and then found out that, oh wait, they both use the same type of paper. They both have the same issue. Because it's not just a Hobonichi problem, it is all Tomo River paper that is having the issues. And some people have been really lucky and some people have been less lucky. There is an inconsistency, and so you don't know from page to page if you're going to have a good page or a bad page. And some pages are really bad and some pages are really good. So after I figured that out, and then the other thing I figured out, and this is so silly, but the daily pages are super important to me, and I'm going to go through all the different sections after this. But the daily pages are super important to me. These are the pages that keep me on track. But in the sterling ink, they are not dated, at least in the version that I have. And they are in my Hobonichi cousin. So once I realized that the paper was the same, or generally speaking, and was having the same issues, I went, I'm not really enjoying dating this myself. I need the accountability and the layout that my Hobonichi gives me. I need that structure, and this doesn't have it. And for my brain, that structure works better for me. And it may just be the simple fact of having a date at the top. is all I need. It's really unclear, so I'm going to be trying something new. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I ended up switching back to the Hobonichi Cousin for my catch-all planner, and that's where I've been for the past couple of months. Still working fine, still annoyed on a daily basis by the paper, but overall it works fine. I can use stickers, I can use my fountain pens. Some weeks are completely fine, and other weeks I have, you can see the bleed through down here and through here, and some weeks I'll get mild liner that shows through. Some weeks have really bad bleed through. I think that is the primary issue I see in here. I do also get some feathering going on, which tends to make, I like my writing to look very precise. And when you get feathering, it just looks fuzzy, and it really bothers me from an aesthetic standpoint because it's my writing. So I've been struggling a little bit with that aspect, but I've stayed in here. It has worked well for me, and I'm going to make some minor changes going forward. We're going to be switching planners again, but this time it's for a better reason, and we'll go over that a little bit more at the end. Next, let's talk about my work planner. My poor work planner, which has gone through at least 3 different identities this year. So I started off in here. This is the A5 horizontal sterling ink, and I'd never done a horizontal planner before, but I thought it was going to be fine. I thought it was going to be perfect. So I came in here and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make columns here. We'll have one column for YouTube. I'll have a to-do list in the middle, and we'll have Instagram, and it'll be great. And I have other things I can put over here. It's going to be fabulous. Yeah, no. And then I thought, well, we're going to just make a to-do and a notes, and I'm not going to split it up, but we're just going to put in the things that we need to do, and it's going to be great. Yeah, no. So what I discovered is that my brain needs things more in columns like this, and it doesn't really, although I read this direction, my brain looks for lists in this direction. And because of that, it was going to be a struggle to get myself in line with this. And at this point, I was like, I know the paper is an issue, so I made another purchase. That's where this planner came in. This is the Locktrum. I never can pronounce these names right, but it's a German company, and I will put its name up here for you guys. Lockstrom, maybe? I don't know. But this is a really nice planner, and I was convinced that this is going to be what I need. And honestly, it does work okay. Is it perfect? No. Things I didn't like about it were the cream colored paper. I actually wasn't sure how I felt about how it broke things up and having just the straight lines. Like, for whatever reason, the grid seems fine, but just having straight lines across and not having extra space to write things in really messed with me a little bit. And for the monthly views, hold on, let me find them. This is what you have for the monthly view. So this is really hard for me to plan out what content, because I really need that calendar to look at because of the way my brain works. Again, totally a visual thing. So I use this for like a week or two when I love that the way that my pen is reacting on here, but the layout's not working, and I don't like the cream paper. I feel like I can't use a bunch of my stickers, so that's not going to work. So at this point, I was like, okay, so I have another planner that I know the layout will work for me. Why am I not using that planner? So that's when we jumped back here for our content planning. And that is what I've been using for the rest of the year. Now, some months are better than others, the last couple of months being not as great. But overall, this has worked really well for me. Sometimes I don't have a ton in here. Some weeks I have lots of things. It just depends. But the flexibility of this allows my brain to function the way it needs to and to get the things done that I need to get done. So that's where we are on that. Now, let's start to talk about the next 6 months. What are we doing? So, like I said, I'm going to continue with my Moxy Life. I already have the next couple books, and I know that system works for me. I just have to put the work in and make the time to do it. As far as my content planner, I think I'm going to continue on the same route. I have book number 2 here, and that's going to work great for me. Are there some adjustments I need to do as far as how I'm using it? Yes. And I find that that's often true. If you have a planner that isn't working perfectly, but most of it is working, then you can make these small adjustments to make it work better. Do I wish the paper didn't have as many issues? Yes. But it doesn't seem to affect me as much in here for whatever reason. So I'm just going to be swapping it out for this one. The biggest factor here is now I have a front section that is going to match what is actually in the planner. And that's something that's really bothered me in this one because it was set up to be a catch-all. And it felt unnatural to me and really bothered my perfectionist brain because I wanted it all to match, but I didn't want to buy another planner. So for the second half of the year, we have it all together. I have everything all kind of worked out in here. I've started transferring over notes and everything, and this should be good to go. And just like by the end of the week, there will be a kind of flip through of this. The other thing that I have found with these planners is for the monthlies, there's something very specific that I need to do in order to make the monthlies more effective for me for content planning. And I think it's one of these first months. Maybe not. Oh, you know what? I was planning in both of these at the same time. And so some of the monthly stuff didn't get transferred over. Let me show you over here. So what I did for some of these months is I would make myself a list on the side of videos and then plug them in as I got them done. And that worked much better than just pre-planning out where everything was because circumstances change. The amount of time that I have to record changes, but I want to build off of that initial list. So I have a general list, and it also causes me to come back to that monthly section every week in order to figure out what are we doing the next week. So that small adjustment is going to get made over into this planner because I figured out that that's a necessity for me. Next, let's talk about my catch-all. So I do love my Hobonichi. I don't love the color, and I have a slight problem in here that I think a new planner is going to address more fully. So, and that problem comes from my ADHD. So when you have ADHD, there's this thing called object permanence. And essentially what that is this concept of if you don't see it, it doesn't really exist or you don't think about it. So think of it as the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. So in here, with the way that things are broke up, what tends to happen, and now I'm not saying I don't use every one of these sections, I totally do, but I'm not using it to its fullest. So I'll go through and I'll set up my month. But what happens is I don't come back here, or I only come back here once, most twice a month, not every week to check in because I'm setting up those weekly pages. And so I don't need to come back here. I have all the info on my phone. I'm just looking off my phone and putting it in, right? Well, there are things here that are getting missed because they're not in that digital phone and they're not getting transferred to the weeks because I forget this exists. And the same concept tends to happen with my weekly spreads and my daily spreads. So what ends up happening is I'll plan out the week, which I totally need to do. Like I need the monthly view to see everything that's going on, catch appointments that are overlapping, or I forgot to add in travel time, those type of things. And my weekly spreads, I need these to figure out when do I have time to do a grocery run? When is a good cleaning day? What day do we need a crock pot dinner? those type of things without this view would be really hard for me. But I'm not coming back here. I'll set it up at the beginning of the week. I'll think everything out. And then I'm on to my daily pages, which work amazing for me. Don't get me wrong. Here, let's go to, I don't know, May. And this is generally what my daily pages look like. I have my setup, I have my to-do list at the top. I know my schedule for the day. I do a brain dump in the evening for the next day, so I know what's going on, and I just go day to day. But because everything is so divided up, I don't go back. So when Just Scribbles, which I just did a video on this, so if you want to see a flip through and a comparison to both the Sterling ink and the Hobonichi Cousin, I'm going to link that up above. But what this planner I'm hoping will do for me, because it's got everything kind of clustered together. So for each month, and as you can see, I'm starting to set it up. But for each month, we have kind of a dashboard page, our monthly page, and then we go into our week, like first week, and then we have all the daily pages for that first week. So it's all together. So in order to look back on my weekly, I just have to flip a couple of pages, opposed to find a different section. Okay, where in that section is this week? That type of thing, or using a bookmark to flip back and forth. It's all right together. So that ADHD part of my brain that forgets that those other parts exist has it right here. So it's more likely that I'm going to flip back and forth. The other thing that is going to happen with this is, so currently it does have Tomoe River paper. Yes, it's the same paper as I'm dealing with here. Hopefully it'll have better pages overall, but we'll see. But for next year, she's going to have other paper options. So I can test out this layout and see if it's going to work for me and decide, okay, am I going to go back to the Hobonichi Cousin because no other planner is working for me? Or am I going to expand into a new planner realm that'll have better paper and potentially a better setup for the way my brain works? And I'm hoping that's the case. So I'll be setting this up this week and getting everything set to go there. And hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have videos on all three of those systems ready to go. And I'm excited about it. I haven't been excited about my planner for the past couple of months. That paper issue has really kind of been lingering for me. And then to not have some of these planners consistent because I stopped and went to a different planner, that has also been strangely hard. And I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds overdramatic. And I can't explain it to you. It just is. But I'm hoping the next 6 months are going to go better. I'm trying to put some things in place so that the world environment doesn't affect my mental health so much, but at the same time, still participating in it. I hope that makes sense. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. I'm really interested to know, how has your last 6 months gone, and how are you going to be treating the next 6 months? Are you changing planners? Are you staying in the same one? Are you looking still for alternates to the Hobonichi Cousin that'll work? And how do you feel about the whole planner situation right now? Anyhow, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I'll see you soon.